Good evening, and welcome to the Miracle of Prosperity here on the New Thought Media Network. I'm your host, Rev Jim Webb, Senior Minister of the Tacoma Metaphysical Chapel in Silver Spring, Maryland, and author of the book, The Soul of Prosperity, as well as others such as Prosperity from A to Z and Create Your Own Self-Manifesting Vision Board. We talk about prosperity, and we talk about it in two ways. Either developing and maintaining practices that enhance your prosperity, or releasing barriers to the prosperity that exists so that you might attract it to you. We also look at prosperity in a very broad way here. We look at prosperity in terms of professional prosperity, where you have a perfect job with perfect pay, where you perform a wonderful service in a wonderful way, as we learned from Florence Scovel-Shinn. We look at relationship prosperity, where all of your relationships reflect an inner harmony and inner support. So you give yourself inner support and you have harmony within yourself, and your relationships then reflect that in the form of relationship prosperity. We look at family prosperity, where the love from Source heals family issues. And we look at logistical prosperity, where your life works more easily with less struggle and less lack. And of course, we look at financial prosperity, where you have more than enough to share and spare, and where your money is no longer a source of worry, but a source of joy instead. So we do all of that within an hour. So each week we take a topic and we work with it. And tonight we're going to work with a topic called Past Life Readings for Your Prosperity. And this is a fascinating topic. The topic is one that I didn't realize had such an impact on our prosperity until recently. A dear friend, Reverend Lisa Ray Brooks, wrote a book called My Infinite Self. And in this book, she looked at all of the past lives she had. And she looked at some of the past lives that could help her attain more prosperity in this life, and other past lives that caused her to deny herself prosperity in this life. And her book is available on Amazon.com. It's a fascinating read. Well, it occurred to me that we all may have past lives that either enhance our prosperity or can be used to enhance our prosperity, or we may have past lives that can detract from our current prosperity. For example, one of the past lives of mine that I have become aware of is one in the French Revolution, where I was a 14-year-old boy, and I was very much a part of the resistance, and I was killed. And when I became aware of this past life, I so admired this young boy's courage and strength and power. And that really helped me to heal aspects of myself where I was an unsure and insecure bullied teen. And so that past life gave me more strength. Of course, there are other past lives, like one when I was an English priest, where I was really observant of all the rules. And that past life kind of kept me coloring within the lines in this life until I realized I don't have to be an English priest and color within the lines, and there's a rule for everything. And understanding that was a part of me that was holding me back from being more adventurous in my life. So both of those past lives have really affected this one. But I'm not alone in this, nor is Reverend Lisa Ray Brooks. We all may have past lives that may impact our ability to attract and retain prosperity, or that may block our prosperity. And we're not even aware of them. So tonight what we're going to do is we're going to do some readings to make us aware of some of these past lives so that we can address some of the issues that they offer us that may either stand in the way of our prosperity or so that we can exploit some of the learning that we've had in past lives so that they can help us to allow more prosperity in this life. So who's going to be doing the readings? I am. I'm going to have some help though. My producer Michael is waiting in the wings, and here he is, Reverend Michael Mangus, Grand Poobah of Everything Science of Mind.
Don't tell home office that. Well, hello there. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. This is going to be a fun evening.
Yes, and Reverend Michael Mangus is going to keep me on track. I'm so glad to see so many people here, so many people participating. So this is what we're going to do. The first thing we're going to do is demystify readings. And the way we demystify readings is helping everybody to understand what we all knew from 5th grade science class. Energy is never created or destroyed. It simply changes form. You are an amalgamation of all of your energy, the energy contained in this body, in this life, and your eternal energy. And you wear it all like a cologne. And just like when you come into a room, someone can smell your cologne, a sensitive is simply someone who is aware of more of your energy, perhaps, than you are, including the energy of past lives that are a part of you. So that's what I'm going to be reading tonight. And this is how we're going to do the questions. Reverend Michael is going to be so kind as to be an arbiter for this. This is how we're going to do the questions. If you have a prosperity challenge in this life, share to the best of your comfort and ability the prosperity challenge that you run into, and I will then tap into your energy and offer you insights into whatever past life can help you remove the barrier, or whatever past life can help you enhance your ability to allow prosperity. And then you'll have something to work with instead of this mysterious block. So that's what we're going to do tonight. And I will do that to the best of my ability, and I will do that in a way that supports your privacy, as well as looking at the generic issue and how it applies to everyone. So that's what we're going to do with prosperity readings for your prosperity. So get your questions ready. In the meantime, we're going to sell some soap here on the New Thought Media Network.
Watch me change when you change the way you look at things. The things you look at change. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Come on, everybody, sing with me. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. If you believe in you and me, sing yes, yes, yes. Do you believe like I believe we can make a better world? Listening to each other,
And we're back here on the New Thought Media Network. And I thank you for your questions. Which one do you think we should do, Reverend Michael?
I think let's go to Shay first. Hi, Shay, all the way from Colorado. She says, my prosperity challenge is related to health and trauma. My prosperity challenge is related to health and trauma. And while Reverend Jim is answering that question, again, put your questions in the comments, and we'll go ahead, and Jim will do also a reading for you this evening. So,
yes. And I'll explain one other thing. When you see my eyebrows popping and my eyes bulging, what we have here is what's called the third eye. That's the inner eye, the eye of intuition. And what happens for me is I get a blast of energy and insights and information and light into that third eye. Now, as you know, when a higher energy or vibration goes through something of a lower vibration, there is a resistance, which is why copper wires get hot when you send electricity through them, because light is simply electromagnetic energy. And just like a copper wire has to be grounded, when that energy goes through my third eye, my body resists, and that's why my eyes might pop a little bit and why my eyebrows might wiggle a little bit. That's resistance. So I want to demystify that for those of you who might not have ever seen Reverend Jim giving readings before. So Shay, when I step into your energy around this, the first word I hear is cloistered. And what I am seeing for you are several past lives where you were cloistered in a monastery. And this is not uncommon for many who are light bearers in this time, at this time on the earth. In preparation for this very pivotal lifetime, at this very pivotal time on the earth, many of the current light workers spent prior lives on the earth cloistered in meditation, in connection with the divine, based on the constructs of the time, in contemplation, and in inner awareness. That was necessary in order for us to bring a certain innate willingness and ability to be quiet and go within. That was necessary. What that also did, however, is that it sheltered us from some of the more pernicious negative energies on the earth. And so this life has been quite startling for us, whereas prior lives, many of them have been cloistered. So we then brought a whole basket full of energy to be healed in one lifetime, which is why our lives may seem to be so challenging. The reason we brought that whole basket of energy to be healed in one lifetime, which sometimes may seem to be too much for us, is because this is the first time in the Earth's evolution where there has been enough energy to heal these deeply held karmic patternings and deep trauma. So what they're saying specifically for you, Shay, is that you are very much on the right track in healing the trauma. What is being asked of you is to see your body differently. You have seen your body as a haven for this trauma, and you have seen your body as resistant to and reactive to the panoply of negative energies on the earth. Now, what they want you to do is see your body differently, in that you are to process and not hold this trauma. By process, they mean going into your meditative state, releasing, specifically energetic and emotional release, starting with journaling your fears, journaling your doubts, journaling shame that comes up, and then releasing it with your voice, working with kinetics like beating a pillow or something like that, or working with a therapist to help you to move much of this energy of trauma out of your energy field, and as you move it out, light moves in. And this is a very natural part of your transformation, and that is what is called for right now. Your trauma is not you. It is something to be processed. And once it is processed, it will no longer block the joy that is available on earth. For there is a great deal of joy on the other side of the trauma, once that trauma is processed. And I'll leave that with you with lots of love.
Boy, we're really getting a lot of questions this evening. The next one here is from Tracy. She says, hi, I've had a very difficult time receiving love and grace, especially self-love and self-grace. Yet I find it so easy, natural, and fulfilling to pour love and grace into others. Do you have any insights on that, Reverend Jim Webb?
Yes, I'm going to step specifically into Tracy. And when I step into your energy, Tracy, I heard the phrase, but isn't that what angels are supposed to do? And they're saying there's a next page in the book. And when I ask what all of this means, what they're talking about is this. When we come to the earth plane, we get conditioned to not read the second page of the book. The first page of the book is, as an angel on earth, your task is to love and to give and to share. But then we get on the earth plane and it gets a little twisted for all of us. The way that it gets a little twisted for all of us is that we forget the second page, which is, and there has to be balance, and we are deserving of balance. So there is an intrinsic martyr complex that is a part of, let's call it the angelic mind. And they're giving me this new phrase tonight called the angelic mind, because many white light workers work with the angelic mind. And they're telling me I'm going to write an article about this. But the angelic mind sometimes gets to the earth plane, and the angelic mind sometimes forgets that there needs to be balance because the earth plane is so focused on martyrdom. And so what Spirit is asking you to do, Tracy, is to use the other part of your mind in knowing that when you give, it is important to receive. And what you receive from the infinite source. So they're pointing me to A Course in Miracles, Lesson 108, Giving and Receiving are one. And what they're saying is that when we come in with the angelic mind, we think give, give, give. And we must remember now, because there is more balance on the earth, we must remember now that it is important to receive, to replenish ourselves, that we might give from a full cup. And they're showing me a life, Tracy, where you were a wet nurse. And I don't even know what a wet nurse is, but I think it was a nurse that nursed babies. But they're showing me that life, and they're giving me the word wet nurse. And you were a wet nurse, and that is what kept you alive. And that is what gave you esteem, and that is what gave you a slightly different quality of life than those others who were enslaved. And so this ingrained on your earth consciousness the idea of giving and giving and giving, and that your value comes from giving. And they want you to know that there is a source for love and a force for love that is not on the earth plane, but is the earth plane. That is God, that is spirit, that is source. And that source will continue to replenish you so that you can release what they call a one-sided bargain for love and allow a balanced bargain of love. And they're not saying that your life is a one-sided bargain of love now, but there is just this part in your mind from that old past life where you were a wet nurse that believed that it was a one-sided bargain for love. And understanding this and letting that wet nurse know that there is a source and a force for love that is not on the earth plane, but it is the earth plane for it. It is the love of God. And filling that wet nurse with the love and light of God so she knows the blessed assurance of God regardless of her circumstances can heal you now as well. And I'll leave that with you, Tracy, with lots of love.
All right. We have Deanna. She says, is there past life influence in my present day problems with tenants paying rent?
Okay, I'm going to step into that, Deanna. God bless you. Okay, this is fascinating because what I was getting was this beautiful, 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 beautiful maroon and gold brocade bed set. It was like something off the set of Bridgerton or something like that. And I was getting it because it was a past life of yours, Deanna, where you were extremely well-to-do. And you brought that skill into this life in terms of working hard, managing your money, investing well, and creating for you a level of comfort that was, the word they're using is unforeseen. It was a level of comfort that you couldn't have foreseen based on your early life. But you did it. And when they're showing me this sumptuous maroon bedspread with a gold brocade and the one of those big beds like on the set of Bridgerton, when they're showing me that, it's a past life where you felt it to be undeserved. You felt it to be undeserved. And this is fascinating because they're showing me that scene from the Hunger Games where Peeta gave Katniss some food that he had thrown out of his parents' bakery. And that, to me, is symbolic of compassion. So in that life, you showed compassion to others despite how you were born, but you never felt that it was enough. And Spirit is telling you now that you did all you could, and it was certainly and definitely enough. So that past life, in that past life, you carried guilt, believing that you had not done enough, believing that there was more that you could do. But Spirit is reassuring you in that past life that you have done enough. So you need not carry this guilt forward, and you can accept balance now. And what you see here is a theme between you and Tracy, and that theme is the angelic mind. Once again, you know, light workers who come to this plane at this time come with a certain idea. And now that we are on the earth and we forgot about the second page, which is balance, they are teaching us balance. And so you can have more balance, and this aspect of you will not be as prevalent in terms of not allowing yourself easy prosperity. Now that you know who she was, what was on her mind, and now that you can heal her mind and yours with the truth that balance is necessary, balance is good, balance is required, and you have done enough. Balance is necessary, balance is good, balance is required, and you have done enough. Balance is necessary, balance is good, balance is required, and you have done enough. Good. Reverend Michael, where should we go now?
Well, again, thank you for all the questions here. I think we have enough for the rest of the evening, but again, if you'd like to go ahead and add a question, we'll take as many as we can. I'm just taking them in order here. So the next question is from GT. I continue to have health challenges. I have been told that I carry ancestral pain. What does that mean? And is it true?
The showing me a lesson in A Course in Miracles, when I am healed, I am not healed alone. I am not alone in the effects of my healing. And the reason that they're showing me that is, and they want to explain this in terms of energy. Energy is never created or destroyed, it only changes form. Now they're beginning to study this scientifically with the science of epigenetics, how energy patterns, energy frequencies are passed from one generation to the other. And they have often said, when we heal ourselves, we heal everything 7 generations back and 7 generations forward, because our energy radiates not only into our current physical environment, but it radiates into our ancestral environment too. So that's the long answer to the second part of your question. Is it true? Yes. And oh, this is fascinating. What they're saying is that you can call on those ancestors who see things differently from the other side for help and support. Yes, you are carrying shards of their energy. You are carrying shards of their frequency. You are carrying shards of their programming as well. But they are on the other side now, and they see things differently, and so they can be active participants in your joint healing. Call them forward that they might bring to you additional energy from what you call the other side. And when you partner with them and they bring to you additional energy from the other side, you heal yourself and you heal aspects of their energy related to the earth plane. And so, in a sense, make it a healing party. And they're saying this is how you can do it. One of the ways you can do it. Sit in circle with your ancestors, as if it's a healing circle, and allow the healing to move to you and through you, and allow the healing to move to you and through them as well. And what they bring is they bring an open door. They bring an open portal to the plane of experience and the plane of existence where there is infinite light, where there is infinite love, where there is infinite healing. And when you work with them, you facilitate your healing and their own. And that's what I get for you. Oh, were we supposed to put a past life in that? Well, they're saying you've worked with these beings in many past lives, even though they are ancestors, because groups of souls tend to travel together. And when groups of souls tend to travel together, especially at this point in the Earth's evolution, most of these souls have been in contact before. Because they're saying we are at the end of our soul's journey on the Earth plane, not at the beginning. Meaning, if this Earth were a drama, a 12-chapter book, we're on chapter 11 and a half. So many of the beings who are our ancestors have been with us on the earth before, because we're basically wrapping everything up and bringing everything to healing, bringing everything to clearing, bringing everything to conclusion now. So many of these beings have been with you in your past lives, even though they are your ancestors as well. And as you heal yourself, you heal them. As you open to this healing, they support you in healing. And many of they're using the word microaggression because that's a word that I'm comfortable and familiar with. But what you're also doing is clearing many of the past life micro issues that you've had with some of your ancestors with whom you have incarnated. So this heals on many levels. And I'll leave that with you with lots of love.
Boy, great readings this evening. Here's one from a familiar person. Good evening, Reverend Jane Bat. Hi, I used to believe that money wasn't spiritual. I've come a long way, but I'm open to insights about healing this even more. Reverend Jim Webb.
Money works from God. That's the phrase I heard, and let me make sure I heard it right. Money works from God. Money smooths, money heals, money provides, money comforts. The human mind has believed money to be a bad thing because they have seen money abused, withheld, hoarded, or otherwise misunderstood. But money is simply a means for God's good to be distributed. And looking at it that way can be very useful. Now, they're going back to something they talked about before. Okay, this is so fascinating, Reverend Jane Bat. I never knew this. But they're showing me a life in a monastery in France. And I want to say Marseille. And the reason that I want to say Marseille is because when I was a kid, I read a book, and I forget the name of the book. It was about revenge and stuff. And it was The Count of Monte Cristo. Thank you. It was The Count of Monte Cristo. And they described a monastery or something in Marseille. And when they described it, I got this ooky feeling. And later I realized that's because what he was describing was a place you lived. Well, there was this monastery, this like French monastery, which is why I speak French, even though I never spoke French in this life, because so many lives I spoke it. But anywho, and you were there too, because I'm looking at you. You were a tall guy. You were a tall, thin guy, and you had these owly-like eyes. And I'm looking at you right now, and it was like, oh, that's Reverend Jane Bat. And so they're showing me that life. And what they're saying is that in that life, we created a false barrier between ourselves and the world, and ourselves and the good money could do. Because it was one of those lives of a certain degree of self-denial, being in a monastery. But we have come to balance this. And by letting that aspect of us know what Spirit just told us, and bringing their perception of life on the earth and money into balance, it can be very useful. You see, and this is what they're telling us, and you know, you and I weren't alone in this monastery, because this has come up in some readings before for some other people. Many of us who are in this soul group have been at this monastery, and we walled ourselves off from the pain of life, but we also walled ourselves off from the joy of life, from the dance of life, from the succulent beauty of the experience of life, because we thought life was all bad. And what Spirit is telling us in this life is luscious, life is sumptuous, life is a bouquet, life is nectar, nectar. And so we're bringing that into balance by being able to embrace this life and all of its joys as well. And that's the part of the balance that we are bringing into this life. So for you, understanding the succulence of life and the joy of life and the sweetness of life. And they said, simply eat a mango or a peach or a plum. Because when you eat a mango or a peach or a plum, and you just let your lips taste that juice and you bite into it and you feel that flavor exploding in your mouth and you feel the ripeness of it and you know that it is the energy of the sun. And when you allow yourself to do this, you are taking in life and you are saying yes to life. And this brings that whole other energy into balance. So eat a peach, eat a mango, eat a plum, and enjoy the succulent, sweet nature of life. And that's what they're saying to you, Reverend Jane Batt.
All right, we have up Lillian next. Hi, Lillian. Good evening. Did I not share in a former life which may explain my ideas about limited resources?
Okay. Okay, let's work with this. I get the question, and so I'm going to work with it. The idea here is, did I not share in a former life? Am I being punished now? And this Spirit is saying is an opportunity for us to understand karmic patterning more deeply. We often, as humans, from a human perspective, believe that karma is an eye for an eye. If I did something bad in the past life, something bad is going to happen to me in this life. But what Spirit is talking about is not that, because karmic patternings are simple energetic patternings that we bring into a life in order that we may heal them. So there is no a ledger book where if you withheld bread from someone in a past life, someone is going to withhold bread from you. There is no ledger book that way. So we can, but what we do bring in, if we bring in a tendency to have a scarcity mentality, it's going to show up in our lives. But we can change that immediately. We don't have to wait for someone to withhold bread from us. We can change it proactively. So what you are experiencing in this life, they're saying, Lillian, is not as a result of something bad you did in another life, because Spirit doesn't judge or condemn. We do that ourselves. What they're saying is you brought in an aspect of the generalized consciousness for you to heal. And you need not, they want you to condition yourself. And they're showing me my book, actually. They're showing me my book, the Prosperity from A to Z, and A is for Abundance, and how it is important for us to just continually massage our minds into an abundant mindset. And when you continually condition your mind to abundance, when you continually condition your mind to little exercises, like in the book, the book Prosperity from A to Z, every letter of the alphabet is a prosperity principle, like A is for abundance. And with A, we look at all the trees and all the leaves, and you look at it in the spring and the millions and millions and millions and millions and billions and billions of leaves. And then when somebody tells you money doesn't grow on tree, you say, oh, yes, it does. Tree is made from wood. Tree is made from wood, which makes pulp, which makes dollar bills. Money does grow on trees. And when you look at all the trees, you see the abundance in the universe. And little exercises like this start expanding your mind from a consciousness of lack to a consciousness of abundance. So the point here, Lillian, in summary is, you are not being punished for something you did bad or wrong in a prior life. You have the opportunity to continually develop an abundant mindset, and that will change your world. And that's what I'll leave with you, with lots of love.
We wish a very pleasant evening to Pat Harris. Hi, Pat.
Oh, Pat.
My prosperity challenge is in allowing myself to receive the prosperity I intend and ask for. And I think that that's a common one with many people. So, Reverend Jim, please comment.
They're giving me this whole lecture here. I don't mind. But this is where they're bringing in generational, ancestral conditioning as it relates to prosperity. They're saying you have far exceeded what you believed yourself to be capable of in this lifetime because you have joined with your life force and the infinite source, and you have allowed creativity to pour through you in wondrous ways. And you have given yourself many opportunities to share this with others through mentoring, through community work, etc. And they're telling me how wonderfully happy they are with where you are and your life. And your ancestors are telling me how proud they are of you. And then they're saying, don't let us hold you back. Because you have accomplished so much and achieved so much, there is a part of you that has been afraid of flying too close to the sun. And you are a wisdom keeper now. And you need not be afraid of this. So now they're showing me a song that we referenced last week or in one of my classes, Mary, Mary, shackles off my feet so I can dance. There are subtle shackles based on the fact that your ancestors struggled that you can release now. When you release these shackles, you release them for yourself and for them. These are subtle and these are minor. And you will have yet more waves of creativity. I'm seeing some projects that may need some either funding or some attention from government or some sort of organizations for financing that you will allow to occur. And this is because you can take the shackles off and not think in terms of limits or fear of flying too close to the sun because you have exceeded many of the expectations of your ancestors. And is this attached to a specific prior life? They're showing me dust on the feet in the desert. And this was a life where I'm feeling like I was in the desert. I'm looking at my feet and they're black and they've got dust on them and all that stuff. And I'm like starving and I'm like thirsty and stuff. And that aspect of you cannot believe what the world has come to because that part of you believed the world to be such a wicked, hostile hellhole of a place. And that part of you needs to be rescued and given comfort. And by sending light to that part of you and showing that part of you what is possible, that part of you can be rescued and need not be afraid. And that's the past life that can be healed, that kind of did not even know it was possible to fly this close to the sun. And that's what I get, and I'll leave that with you with lots of love.
We only have a few more minutes, so if we don't get to your question this evening, we're going to have we'll talk about now. The one thing that you brought up, Reverend Jim, is, and I talked to you about this before, is generational prosperity and generational beliefs, but that's for another evening.
Yes. We'll do that another evening. Yes,
we'll do that another evening. Good evening to Old Top 11. My prosperity challenge is sometimes being able to maintain the elevation of true, complete prosperity made manifest. Do you have any hints or suggestions?
Let's see what we get from Spirit on that. The generic answer that they're showing me for everybody is that we carry around the past as if it's a... They're showing me a ball and chain, and I don't know what you call a ball and chain. But we carry around the past like a ball and chain, and it keeps us from flying because it limits our horizons, is what they're showing me. And that is generically what happens for everyone. And now they're saying it's a new day. Because of your work as light workers, you have opened the windows and the doors, and the light of God floods into the house of the earth, they're saying. And this creates a whole new paradigm, a whole new set of possibilities. And with God, all things are possible. This is not just cliche. This is not just spiritual, a spiritual aphorism. This is truth. And what you have done is you have let in so much of the energy and light of God collectively, everybody on the earth. You have let in so much of the energy and light of God that God has infinite possibilities, because God created heaven and earth, and God creates all possibilities. So when we let in this much God energy, then more things are possible, and things that we can't even dare to imagine. So what they're saying is that as you continue to focus on the limitlessness of the moment, the past is less of a millstone around your neck, causing you to feel as if you need to take a couple steps back when you take a step forward. And as you one and all continue to grow, as you one and all continue to heal, as you one and all continue to progress, you will find your progressions to be more and any resistance to be less, to the point where it can be sustained, because all guilt will be gone and you will not believe that there is any price to be paid for your prosperity. And that's what I'm getting there.
I think we have time for maybe one or two more here. Good evening to Freedom Jones. My prosperity challenge is seeing wealth as negative because of the abuse and inhumanity I see associated with money and wealth.
Oh, beloved, 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 so good to see you. They're saying 5 words to me, and then they're saying them 5 more times. Foundations, 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 foundations. They want to turn your attention from what we see that is most prevalent above the surface, which are, as you have seen quite clearly, abuses of power and wealth. But beneath the surface, just like there is a part of an iceberg beneath the surface, they're talking about foundations, 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 foundations. And this is not as visible, but this will become more of the vision of humanity. And they're talking about how, as we evolve and as the light evolves on the earth, there are certain technologies that will bring more wealth to the earth and will help everyone. And foundations will become more of a great equalizer. What they're talking about here, okay. They're giving me so much at once. What they're talking about here, I got to start writing it down before I can forget it. What they're talking about here is what they're talking about. I got to write this down so I don't forget it. What they're talking about here is how there are certain technologies, like energy technologies, etc., that are on the verge or a cusp of a breakthrough. Water desalinization technologies that are on the verge of the cusp of a breakthrough that will bring effortless wealth to so many. And that goes in concert with the healing of many people's egos, so that, and they're using this word, not me, so that men won't need to buttress their egos with wealth that, and will feel comfortable sharing wealth. So there are a couple of trends here in the next 20 or 30 years that will help to share wealth more fully. Men won't believe that their wealth is their worth, so they're more willing to share it because they find their worth in other areas of life and in their being instead of in their status. And technologies that help wealth to be distributed more equitably. And so what happens with this is that picture begins to fade over the next 20 to 30 years. And what they were showing me with you is that you were like an advisor, executive secretary, or something like that to one of these Andrew Carnegie guys. Not one of these Andrew Carnegie guys. You were, and you call it a henchman, but you were like executive assistant or something to one of these robber baron types, and you call yourself a henchman in that role because this person built great wealth at the expense of others, and that's why you came into this life to do what you do, to equal those energies out. And they're saying the scales are clear and you can allow yourself good. There is no penance to be paid for this anymore. And that's what I'll leave with you, with lots of love.
Okay. We are at 5 minutes. You think you can do one more?
I'll squeeze another one out.
Squeeze another one out. Good evening to Ardella. And she says, my question is, where in my past life are thoughts of lack, limitation, unworthiness, and procrastination that block me from manifesting my divine inheritance in all areas of my life?
When I step into this for you, they're giving me the generic answer, but also the answer for you. This is a life of transition for you, where all of the dust and dirt of prior lives is washed off, and beneath it you see crystal stairs. Now that obviously is symbolic, but what it means is this. You brought into this life a whole lot of past lives filled with dust and dirt and guilt and shame. You brought them in, and that is why so much of that seems to have been made manifest in this life. But there is now enough light to heal all of that, and that's why you brought it all to this light. Now they're showing me someone turning a corner. So you have turned a corner on this. So you have healed many of these past lives as you have healed, balanced, and transformed this energy in this life. And so as we turn the corner, they're showing me the song, I've got nothing but love for you, baby. Got nothing but love for you, baby. Got nothing but love for you, baby. I don't know what that song is, but I guess I heard it on the radio at some point in my life. But Spirit is saying they have nothing for love for you, and that your life will reflect more of that love because you have turned a corner in healing these karmic patternings that can't be traced to one life, but are the amalgamation of many lives consolidated into this life for their healing. And I'll leave that with you with lots of love.
That was wonderful. How wonderful was that? Reverend Jim,
Yes.
what are you doing these days? What are some of the projects and things and classes that you're working on here?
Oh, I've got a whole lot of good stuff going on, Reverend Michael. I've got 2 new classes starting in July. And one is Ask Spirit Anything. This is on Monday nights, where I do channeled sessions where people ask questions specific to their lives or the world experience, and my consciousness is totally out of it. My guides and teachers work through me to bring answers, to bring spiritual healing, to bring powerful prayers, to bring ritual, and to bring healing energy. So usually we work with topics, like, for example, in my current class, we're working with the topic of developing more self-love. and self-forgiveness. But this next 8 weeks, beginning on July 10th, will be Ask Spirit Anything, where you won't be bound by a topic, and you can ask all the questions you want of Spirit on any topic that you choose. And that's for 8 weeks, beginning on July 10th. And then on July 13th, we're doing Speaking with Spirit, where you can learn to do what I do. Learn to speak with Spirit, learn to hear Spirit, learn to trust Spirit, learn to allow Spirit to work with you and through you, learn to grow in your relationship with Spirit. So it's 8 weeks of experience where we get experience, and I will teach you how to grow and develop and talk with Spirit and hear Spirit better. That's 8 weeks of talking with Spirit. Now, my summer session is 8 weeks for the price of 6, and it's both classes for the price of 1, and you can get the recordings. So all of that is on my website. I know I give a good bargain.
You're giving away the store again. We talk about this a lot.
I
You just
know.
give so much value. Go ahead.
I know I'm giving away the store, but it's a gift of love. And I know that as I give, I open myself to receive more, and I create a divine flow. So check out my website, www.revjimwebb.com. There's a thing there called services. And under services, there's this thing called classes and workshops. And you can see what I'm up to, and you can contact me to sign up. That's Ask Spirit Anything. And below that is Speaking with Spirit. July 10th and 13th they begin. I have limited amount of in-person classes, but an unlimited amount of subscriptions where you can get the recordings. So for many of you, it's hard to be there on a Monday or Thursday night, but you like getting the recordings. We have a special subscription rate for that too. So we've got a lot going on. We'll do more of this next week, and I want to thank everybody for being here. And thank you, Reverend Michael, for being our Sherpa guide.
Oh, you're welcome this evening. And we want to thank everyone out there. Thank you for being a part of Miracle of Prosperity. For Reverend Jim, I am Reverend Michael Mangus. I'm going to wish you a wonderful week.